My intention was not to hurt him at all, but we had a huge blowout fight, and he said things like, "You have a problem with black men, and I don't know what demon is controlling your life," and so forth and so on. That's how he started the conversation before he explained why he was upset. So I had been really thinking, okay, I'm writing him off. I'm not going to talk to him ever again. But that hurts. He's constantly on my mind 24/7 when I'm in that state of mind.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Frank Lartey here with the Lartey Wellness Group. We're doing another therapy role play. And in this scenario, I'm going to be the therapist, and we have one of our therapists here. She's going to be pretending like she's going to be the client. And so for this one, the scenario, we'll just get into it, and then you all can tell us, then you all will know what the scenario is. So we'll start the session. Hey, Brenda, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for, agreeing for this session to be recorded. We're just doing some training. I know we're kind of like in the 4th or 6th session here, but like for the purpose of this, tell us what brought you into therapy originally.
Well, I've been having some sibling rivalry issues. It started in the pandemic. I don't really know what you want me to say or what you want to know. You'll just have to ask questions.
So what happened? Like what finally broke? What was the straw that broke the camel's back and you said, you know what, I need to get therapy?
That's a good question. The straw that broke the camel's back was a repeating pattern where my brother thinks that I am slighting him or ostracizing him socially from myself or the rest of the family. And he gets very angry and blows up at me. And the timing of it can be really strange because an incident will happen and for weeks we'll be fine. We'll be talking. He'll text, he'll put little heart emojis, and then out of nowhere, he'll blow up about what happened several weeks ago before we were having good interactions. And it's very confusing.
So let me, I'm a little bit slow, Brenda. So let me get this straight here. So you have a brother, is this an older brother, a younger brother?
He's younger.
Okay, so you have a younger brother, and essentially here he feels I think the word that you used was slighted.
Yeah.
Like break it down for me like I'm a 5-year-old child. Like how would he feel slighted about something?
If he doesn't hear from me for quite some time, he thinks that I'm purposefully not wanting to talk to him. But in reality, I'm just super busy and I'm not really thinking about him. Other times, like if there's a family reunion and, I had a lot of health issues at one time. And so I chose not to go. And consequently, our mom chose not to go as well because she and I lived together, and I'm not sure why she decided not to go. I didn't tell her she shouldn't go, but I couldn't because I wasn't feeling good. And because he didn't really know that side of the family very, very well, he wanted, me and my mom to be there to kind of be his support and I guess his prop. I don't know. But neither of us went, so that made him upset. He thinks I'm controlling mom and telling her not to go to places where he's going to go. Like I said, it started in the pandemic. That's when things really started to go downhill because he lived in a more heavily populated area and, worked in a more heavily populated area. And my mother, she's got some health issues. She's high risk. And so we said, hey, if you come and visit, we have to talk to you through the window. That was kind of like the thing that was happening back then. And that really ticked him off. Then when we finally allowed him to come in the house, we all wore face masks. And he didn't like that either. Most recently, the issue was that he was having health problems. And he was talking to our mother about it, but not me. And I knew things were not good at all. But when I asked him in a text, how are you doing? He just said, oh, I'm fine. I'm going to sleep. And I'm thinking, okay, he's purposefully not sharing information with me. And so I felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was trying to be supportive. And so, I said, be well, I love you, heart emojis. We had interactions for 2 weeks, and then bam, he launched and attacked me for doing that. Well, actually, we had a conversation subsequent to that, and I don't know if he asked me about the text or if I volunteered how I was feeling. I said, yeah, when I texted that, I was upset. And then he explained that he was just trying to let the communication go through one channel from my mom to me instead of him having to repeat himself. And I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I get that. And I thought everything was fine. But he was so royally upset. He thought I was mad at him. And that's why I sent the text. And my intention was not to hurt him at all. But we had a huge blowout fight. And, he said things like, you have a problem with Black men, and I don't know what demon is controlling your life, and so forth and so on. That's how he started the conversation before he explained why he was upset. Mm-hmm. So I had been really thinking, okay, I'm writing him off. I'm not going to talk to him ever again. But that hurts. He's constantly on my mind 24/7 when I'm in that state of mind. And he actually did kind of reach out to me 2 weeks later. He told our mother to tell me hello. And I felt instantly better when that happened, because his original plan was to just love me from afar, from a distance.
Mm.
And that still might be him loving me from a distance, but it felt better. And then I reached out to him, and I asked him, was my misstep in that I had feelings about the situation, or that I had feelings and shared them with you? Or was it the text? And, I told him that I just wanted to be able to do better in the future with him. And that's pretty much where we are.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being so open about these, about first coming. It takes a lot to come out here and share your soul. Share something that's so deep and personal to you, to somebody else. And so I definitely want to applaud you for having that courage. And so to summarize what I've heard, at least from my situation, is you've had a couple of misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Right, with your brother. It started during the pandemic era, when hey, everybody was doing social distancing, and you live with your mom, and he wanted to visit, and you're kind of, he probably didn't like, the way, like, hey, from his point of view, hey, I'm gonna go visit my mom, but I gotta talk her through the window like I'm, like I'm an inmate, right? Like I'm an inmate, or so. Not those are not his words, right? But and you all were just trying to just just kind of essentially just follow the protocols, right?
Right.
I'm just wondering here. So there's a couple ways I'm going to go through this. There's a couple angles, right? There's a couple angles that we can go through this. Do you find that? How has you all's relationship been? Are y'all pretty close, or do y'all kind of clash at times?
There have been different phases to our relationship.
Mm.
Excuse me. There's a big difference between our ages. And so I guess the opportunity to be super close just wasn't quite there anyway to begin with. But I was responsible for some of the things. Like when he was little, I would give him his bath every night, help him with his homework. And then when he got old enough, he would go and play in the neighborhood and do his thing. And I was busy with school and summer camps and different things. And then when he became a teenager, he got into some trouble. And he was in trouble for quite some time. And when he became an older teenager, I was kind of scared of him. And I would kind of keep my distance. But he was busy. He was in the streets. It's not like he was around or really appeared to want to be with the family. He was doing his own thing. And he went to prison for 4 years. But when he came out, he was vastly different. And we were close for, a number of years, from like 2009 up until 2020, when the pandemic hit. Things were good in that chunk. He was one of my favorite people on the planet. And perhaps, it's interesting that you said when he talked through the window, he might have felt like an inmate. I never thought of that, but he literally was an inmate for 4 years. And so maybe that experience of being cut off from us and having to talk through the window brought some of that back for him. And I never even put those two together.
Yeah, and I said I'm gonna make a lot of assumptions on this one. Bear with me here. Yeah. And so the reason why the reason why I ask how was you all's relationship is because oftentimes familiar relationships, they tend to have a certain theme or certain pattern. Yeah. Right? Where one person may mature and try to break that theme or pattern, the other person may still hold certain things in. Right? Whereas let's say, hey, and the hardest part with familiar relationships or people with your family is that a lot of times it's a double-edged sword, right? Because if you were somebody off the street and let's say they felt slighted, they felt a certain way, they would just cut you off.
Right.
But because you all are family and because you all have a rocky relationship, believe it or not, there are actions that you may perceive as, man, do they have to do this, or why do they think such negativity? Why does it have to be a negative? Why is this a negative context, or why are they lashing out at me? Is because sometimes it may be because of the fact that for you, when they look at your relationship, it's something that I'm showing that I'm showing my raw emotions, and I'm showing my hurt, I'm showing my sensitivity because I really, really love you all, right? Because if I didn't love you all, I would treat y'all like I would treat somebody off the street where, oh, you crossed me once, forget you, I'm never coming along your path again, because you know me and you can't see eye to eye, and you may take me to a place that I don't want to go. But because I love you all, it's very sensitive, right? My love is going to be, whenever I feel hurt, it's going to be extra hurtful. It's going to be extra painful, because of the fact that it's like people that I really, really love, they love me, and you all might have not even meant it in that way.
Right. Yeah. That seems to be where the issue usually lies, is it's not meant to be a certain way, and the person is, convinced otherwise, and it takes a long time to get to that place where maybe they'll believe me a little bit. I don't know.
And so the tough part about this is, how do you be a loving sister, right? How do you be a loving sister, but then also, how do you also set those appropriate boundaries with those family members so that they're not constantly consuming your mind?
Yeah. They consume my mind as long as things are not good. That's just, it's very hard for me to be any different. If we're on cordial terms or happy, loving terms, then I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. I'm not, they're not on my mind as much. And I've learned I have to make extra effort to reach out in between when things are quiet, so that, he won't think that I'm scheming or plotting against him.
That's a big thing, right? Now I kind of want to move the situation to say, okay, we can kind of understand it from his point of view, right? With the summary, right? The summary that I did, okay, sometimes he may feel, he gets overly, from your perspective, he gets overly sensitive and he gets overly hurt. But we're just saying that, one assumption that we're making, or one of the things is, because of the fact that it's actually reverse of what you're thinking. His being oversensitive in this thing is actually a sign that he loves you all, he cares about you all, he really hurts. But I'm expressing it in that way, right? I'm not expressing love how typically you may perceive somebody, or you want him to do it, but on his thing, when he feels hurt by family members, he can do that. Now it's, let me know how you want us to focus the rest of the section here, or session, really is to say, okay, hey, should we now focus more on identifying your controlling behaviors to help you better deal with this, or to identify more of, in, for lack of better words, how to control his behavior?
Well, I like the part about me learning about my controlling behaviors. I guess my awareness of that only goes but so far, One time I was able to acknowledge what I was doing to him. Because, well, I have to give you, let me see if I can explain this. Okay, so a situation happened, and he was, expressing to me that he did not like a certain thing that I did. But on this day, he was very calm about it. He didn't, attack me. He was just stating what was happening. Very reasonable and rational. He did it 3 times. So the repetition of it kind of made me upset, but he was still rational each time he spoke to me. So by the 3rd time, I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet, and I did what you told me to do in a previous session. You said, don't match his energy. And so I didn't. I was just quiet. I was mute, actually. I was uncomfortably mute on the phone. And then the only thing I said was, okay. And then we got off the phone. And then I was angry when we weren't on the phone together. I was cussing him out in my head. I was ruminating. And for about 20 minutes, I was just angry. And then I thought to myself, first of all, don't care so much about being liked in any situation. And I got that from this book that I read called The Courage to Be Disliked. And I thought, okay, why am I getting so upset at his, suggestion to me that I change a certain behavior? Why is my instinct to be angry and mad? Because what he asked for is not unreasonable at all. And then I realized, okay, I have trouble with constructive criticism. And when I focused in that way, I stopped being angry. When I realized the root cause of my anger, I just stopped being angry, and I texted him back and I said, hey, I really appreciate you. I have trouble with constructive criticism, and I need to learn how to start hearing things or understanding other people's perspectives. And his reaction was really great. He said, thank you. I'm really glad that you have an open mind. And I felt like I was on top of the world, like I had achieved some kind of adult milestone by being able to react and respond in that way. But it only worked because he was rational with me when he spoke to me. But when he comes at me and accuses me of, things that are my triggers, it's hard to be rational back. The best I can do is get off the phone, but then there's texting afterwards, mad crazy texting back and forth. And eventually, weeks later, I might be rational again. So I don't know how to be rational when, the tone is irrational.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere here. I appreciate your insights, right? I appreciate your insights. What I'm hearing is you and your brother, you all have a very, very interesting relationship. When things are good, things are good. Right? But it seems like oftentimes there are little landmines on the field, right? For you call them triggers. There's little things on the field. There's little things that when you run into something, then all of a sudden, boom, it blows up.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And what we need to try to do is come up with a healthy framework for you when you are talking to your brother, right? To say, okay, hey, look, I know things are going well, but what I'm hearing is, okay, how do I handle myself in those situations where, hey, now he's yelling at me for X, right? I didn't even know this is coming out of left field, right? This is coming out of left field. Hey, you're yelling me. You're yelling me at X. Does he treat anybody else like this? Like he treats you?
Not that I'm aware of. It's not like I really know what his personal conversations are like with, other people outside of my home. I've heard him complain, if he has, there have been times where he's had to help other family members with things, and he will just complain, oh, this tuxedo is too expensive. Oh, why didn't they hire people to help them move? And he's even said things about my daughter, even to her, fussing at her. So he's done it to her a little bit, but that kind of goes against his code of conduct. So he'll do it a little, and he'll fuss at me about her. I feel like I'm the main, maybe only person that he fusses at.
You're almost like his therapist.
He used to tell me that. I mean, that used to be the case. He would call me and talk for hours about his job, which is really difficult. The people are they mistreat him a lot. And he even sent me a birthday card saying, hey, I'm really grateful to have you. And I treat you like my therapist. He actually found a card that spoke to that. So yeah, I used to be. And then when I became sick, not for the therapy part, but just in general, I said, listen, I can't really have these kinds of conversations with you anymore, because it's not good for my health. And so now he doesn't talk to me. He doesn't call me.
He's lost his therapist.
Yeah. And he's using now mom is his therapist. Our mother is his therapist now.
Okay.
So.
All right. So you all's relationship, essentially here, what I'm hearing is he comes to you with complaints, right? You're his sounding board, right? He's not being, a lot of situations in his life sometimes doesn't go the way that he wants it to go, right? He doesn't go, it doesn't go the way that he wants it to go. I often tell people this, that, we get disappointed in life, not by the reality of the situation, but when it fails to meet our expectations. Right. So when our expectations don't align to what the reality of the situation is, we were assuming that, hey, it's going to be this type of thing, but in reality, it fell short of that assumption that we did, of that expectation. So now there's a gap, right? So, and how do we deal with that gap, right?
Yes. Yeah, I would say that's true. Well, I mean, I guess that's a question we all have to face, but it seems worse for him. Like every little thing, if it doesn't line up, if it doesn't fit in, very strict parameters, he gets upset.
Right. He gets upset. And what is my point in bringing all of this together, right? Where am I going with this? My point in bringing all this together is as hard as it's going to be, right? When he's coming with you with these problems, when he's coming with you with these things, when he says that you don't like black men, when he gives you these things, when he gives you these complaints, the tough part is he's just expressing what internally is inside of him. I'm not saying that he doesn't like black men. Maybe he might feel that about some people.
Oh, right? That they don't like.
They don't like black men. They don't like these things. So now all of the stuff that's in with, and then, but all you're hearing is, but his way, and family members, we have a very interesting way of communicating with each other where we're more respect. Sometimes we respect a stranger on the street.
Yes.
Oh, you ever meet those people that, oh my gosh, on the street, they're so nice. Oh, hi, you want me over the car door? Oh, you go to a restaurant, hi, or better yet, Or better yet, let's say, have you ever met that person with a service-based business, whether it be a lawyer, a therapist, a nail salon person? They treat their clients like the most ideal person. They're so nice. They're so patient. They never yell at them. They're so understanding, right? Oftentimes, family members, they can be so nice, so patient, so understanding, so this and this to others. But when it comes to their own flesh and blood, we get the worst of it.
Yes, but I'm also guilty of doing the same. I can be super nice to everybody, and then with him, I can be very short and, just attacking back. So I'm not an angel here, but it's never, I don't think that I'm like it's not like I'm starting it, but I can finish it, and nobody likes, people dish it out, but they don't like to get it back. And I'm very good at giving it back and telling a person precisely what I'm seeing, and they don't like that.
And so now it's, how do we set, it's going to sound really, really harsh when I say this, right? And I know we're going to post this on our social, so oh my gosh, we're going to get comments about this, is how do you set the rules of engagement? Right? Essentially here is, if we allow you all's relationship to run free without any frameworks, right? Without any saying, hey, look, I want it. When you talk to me, I would love it if you could talk to me like this. I would love it if you don't yell at me. I would love it if you can, do this. Just treat me with some respect. Just treat me like I'm a human being too.
Yeah, I have said that, and the response was, well, I'm a man. That's not how men talk. But on another occasion, when, for whatever reason, he did speak and comport himself in a very mature fashion, So I know he's capable of doing it, but sometimes it's just not there. Most of the time, it's just not there.
It's not there. And so now is, how do we set your boundaries? Right? Because we can't control his behavior. He's going to come at you in whatever which way he feels that he can get away with.
Okay.
Whatever which way that you allow him to get away with.
Okay.
So how do we set these appropriate boundaries when you're talking to your brother?
Well, maybe what I have to do is just, let him talk. I'll have to tune him out. And then, end the conversation, perhaps say, I'll talk to you later when we're both calm, and conclude the phone conversation. But I can't jump to try to defend myself. I can't get involved in, the little jabs, and because the jabs are used to discredit what I say, think, or do. But I just have to look at that as, okay, this is really not rational, and none of it is true. So I don't have to defend myself. I just need to be quiet. I almost feel like I have to dissociate or something just to survive the phone conversation. And then we can come back later and talk.
Is that how, and now from your perspective, is that how you imagine that you have to be when you're talking to a family member?
For that particular one, it might be the only solution.
But I mean, like which is understandable, right? Now we have to put stricter boundaries, but where I was trying to go with this was, I wonder, did you ever think that when you're thinking of, hey, I'm talking to my siblings, I'm talking to this, I need to set such tight boundaries? Or is your idea of like a relationship with a brother something that, man, you just assume, I want to just assume that you should know how we should talk to each other?
I would assume that, and most people would, but we kind of came from a difficult background. And it fluctuated. So our father, he drank a lot. And I would say my brother probably got the worst end of it, because I left home at 18 and things got worse after I left. And so like just the way that we communicate and walking on eggshells, we learned that already from when we were kids. Or whatever feelings my brother is going through, he learned that because of his relationship with our father, which was slightly different than mine. Like my dad and I, we had some difficult moments, but he was also, we had a really loving relationship as well. But it seems like it was different from my brother. My dad was not as present in his life. We all lived in the same house, but Dad was gone and did his thing on the weekends, and my brother went and did his thing on the weekends. They didn't really get together a whole lot. But I would say I had more time with my father, our dad, and got to experience him, in stretches of sobriety that were really nice, before I left home and after I left home. But I think my brother got most of the non-sober times for my dad, our dad. So it's ingrained. Like when you say, oh, wouldn't you expect it to be a different way if you're family and you're talking, but this is how we grew up. It's just how we were.
Very interesting. So let's say if your brother was listening here, right? If you could have that courage, right? To tell your brother, hey, this is how I would want our relationship to go. This is how I would want you to treat me when we're talking. This is how I would want you to treat me. What would you say?
I would say, if you have a problem with me, tell me right away. Don't wait for several weeks because it festers. And I'm thoroughly confused because I'm thinking everything is fine. You don't have to attack me, by saying, I'm an atheist and I don't like black men, because neither of those are true. Just tell me what the problem is and we can talk. The same way that you were really good that one day when you had the conversation with me. Try doing it that way from now on.
What are the fears that stop you from saying that to him?
He'll just blow up and, start accusing me of things again and telling me I can't tell him how to talk. Because we've had this similar kind of conversation before. But I was, being the therapist, I was saying things like, oh, can't you use I feel statements? And that was like, no, that's not how I talk. So I would leave that part out and I would just say, can you just plainly tell me what's going on? Why are you upset? And then, honestly, the sooner he tells me and the calmer he is, I won't get angry or upset. It's just the buildup, letting it go by for so long, and then his emotions when he's delivering it that makes it worse. I can't really think of any other way to put it to him.
I would say this. I would say that as homework,
Okay.
I want you to call your brother.
Okay.
I want you to tell him that exact same thing, right? If I had all the courage in the world, if I had no fears, if I had no fear of he's gonna blow up and hey, look, this is what I want, or this is how I think our relationship should go. This is my ask, right? Not in that way, but hey, look, I've been thinking about this. Look, things have gone astray. Can you just hear me out? Hear me out for 5 minutes, and then let me hear you out, and maybe really just say, hey, like, these are. Can you? I would really appreciate it if I would first start off by letting him know that you love him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? You care for him. He's valuable, right? But there are some things, and especially but you do want to improve the communication, right? You want both sides to communicate respectfully.
Yes. Okay.
And that word respect will really, really resonate.
Okay.
Right. And this is how, and these are my expectations of how do we communicate respectfully. What are your expectations of how we communicate? And you ask him that.
Okay. I'm writing this down.
Absolutely. Oftentimes, especially with family members, the difficult thing is having the courage to say what you want to say. Because, we all have to walk on eggshells. If I say this person is going to say this, and they're going to do this, and they're going to react like this, and they're going to get all blah, 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 and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? But when we really examine it, what do we need the courage to say?
I think, I've been in situations like this before. And it's just the courage to not try to be right and, look good in the situation. You just have to throw your weapons down and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I love you. Even if you don't think you have a reason to be sorry, or you don't know why you should be sorry, just, say, look, I want us to get back to the way things were. That works with my cousins, but I don't know. Brother, I don't know. We'll try.
Yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, but I'll try this, and I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, Brenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you.